It was late at night, hardly any cars on the road, and police officer stopped me under an overpass, asked me to get out. This was at night, asked me to stand behind my car in front of his bright squad car lights. And so I remember squinting at the light, and he started asking me questions. Where are you coming from? I said, I'm coming from my parents' house. Where are you going? I'm going home. Who's the woman next to you in the car? Who's the woman sitting in the passenger seat? I said, that's my wife. What's in the trunk? I said, just a greasy tire and some other stuff. And this line of questioning just, and I didn't know why this was happening. So, oh, well, I stopped you because you changed lanes without signaling. Okay. This sounded kind of incredulous. Maybe I did. I don't remember in the preceding minutes before I was stopped. But he would later say, after he said, well, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm an astrophysicist with Princeton University. Now, only at this point did he then start saying, oh, well, the real reason why I stopped you was that your license plates were very shiny and new. I just recently moved to New Jersey and I needed Jersey plates. Were shiny and new and it didn't match your car. So there's been a lot of, we wanted to make sure that either the car nor the license plates were stolen. Okay, then I moved on. Okay, I put this into the circle. And okay, I wasn't roughed up. I wasn't, there was no violence committed. There was no, but it was just a little odd, I felt. But by the way, I have a dozen other such stories, being stopped, being questioned, and not getting a ticket. Not getting a ticket. Collectively, these stories, individually, you can listen to each story and say, oh, okay, I can see, all right, I can explain that, all right. But collectively, something else was clearly going on. And then we just wondered, is it because we're physicists? They know we're physicists and they got something against educated people? And what's the common denominator? The common denominator is I was attending the National Society of Black Physicists. That's the Society of Physicists that I had joined for that week. And the only common denominator among us was this color of our skin. Some of our cars were old, others were new, some were sports cars, some were kind of old beat up cars, like my car was 17-year-old Ford. Okay. Who would ever steal a 17-year-old Ford? I don't know. Okay. He's worried about stolen cars. I mean, so I open my commentary with a recounting of that evening, just to bring people in to the world of a Black person. That was just an opening sort of salvo. This is what goes on all the time. If not that incident, another kind of incident. And am I being petty? Am I being oversensitive? Does this happen to everyone? I suppose it could, and they just don't tell me. I don't know that I've ever been in a circle of white people, unless they themselves were truants in some way. I don't know if I've ever been in a circle of law-abiding white people where they all took turns telling police stories. I've never, so maybe they do have the stories and they just don't speak of them. That's possible. But this was a way for me to bring the reader into my reflections. The title of the piece is Reflections on the Color of My Skin. Reflections on what happened in my life simply growing up in America. And in this time of unrest, triggered by the police brutality leading to the death of George Floyd, I felt, I can't any longer just keep all these stories to myself. Somebody has to know this. I'd be irresponsible if I didn't put this out there in some way or another.